In the last video, I said I was going to talk about rust and talk about the body for my part 1 video. I decided I was going to make multiple videos because I didn't want to bore people and I wanted to let people have a break. And when the video stops, they go have a break and they don't have to worry about getting upset if there's, it's boring them, and they can make the decision when to watch the next part of the video. So in this part I'm going to talk about the components and the parts on this car and what needs to be done to repair a lot of these. Now this is the rear door window seal, and to be honest I need a new one because this one is kind of damaged and I didn't like it when it got damaged a little bit. Sort of got a splice in it on the power on the driver's side, and so I wanted to try and repair that, but I couldn't do it with an iron, so that wasn't successful. There's a little crack here, and I don't know where the cut is, but it was on the driver's side, and it just was something I couldn't successfully repair. So I ended up saying, I can't fix it, I might as well just keep what I've got and deal with it later. So this seal does have damage a little bit on it, and it upset me, so I decided I'm going to get a new one or something, and I don't know how to deal with that now, but yeah, for now I'm going to put that to the side. Next are some of the door trims. Now this is the driver's door trim, and the reason I'm going to talk about this is because of my very first experience being trapped inside of a car, and I've never touched cars before this, so I didn't know what to expect of this. So my story with this door panel seal, if you can tell there, it's got some history. Now let me explain. So I'm in the car hiding from my dad because I was very upset with him. I was upset with a lot of things, and this is actually broken anyway. And I was like very upset, and I was hiding in the car to get away from all my problems. So what I did was I went in the car, I locked all the doors, and I let myself calm down. And when I was calm enough that I wanted to get out of the car, like I seriously wanted to get out of the car, I was lucky that I actually used it as like a shed. I put all my tools in the car, and that's where all my tools were at the time. We were in the back seat of the car, and I decided I wanted to get out. I went to pull the door handle to open the door and get out, but the problem was the door didn't want to open. I pulled the handle all the way, I pulled it very hard, and I started getting very upset and very stressed that I couldn't get out of the car. Now, what I ended up doing was getting really stressed and upset, and I was trying to figure out how to get out. I thought to myself I can go through the boot, but then when I thought about it, I didn't have a way of getting in the boot. Well, I could have gotten in the boot, yes, but I didn't have a way of getting out through the boot because the boot, I didn't know how to get out through the boot. I was thinking about it like, how could I see what I'm doing in the boot if I don't have a light in here? How do I get out of this car if I don't know how to open up the boot mechanism? I don't understand what the boot mechanism is like. So this is where I actually developed some of my skills from and started realizing how good I wanted to be at mechanics. But I've lost that trait, which I probably can rebuild again through this car. So what I ended up doing was, because I tried to pull off these panels, not knowing what the repercussions of what I was going to do was going to be, until I really realized that I was doing things wrong. So I didn't realize how to pull one of these apart, and I didn't know how to get out of the car. So what I did was, the very first thing I did was I picked up a Stanley knife. I still have that Stanley knife, and I got that knife and I started cutting right here. So that is where the beginning of my skill set started, was when I started using a knife to cut this, and that's what actually happened. So as you can see, there's still slit knives there, and once I did that, I thought about it, like, how the heck am I meant to fix that? You can't repair that. And I realized, oh shit, I made a big mistake, and that really upset me when I was in the car, upset me more, and I got stressed about it. So once I did that, a part of me ended up starting to open up a new skill set, where I basically was like, right, I gotta calm down, I gotta think about how this panel is attached. Now when I thought about it and I looked at it, I saw a bunch of items that were like screwed in place, and I thought to myself, I know a screw will hold this in place, and if there's any screws on this, I'm gonna wanna take those screws out first, and then I wanna try and pry this off. So we had a handle here, we had, I don't even know what it was, a control panel and an armature here 2 screws, probably three screws would have gone into this armature. One you pull the door open and closed with, and it has your buttons on it. It had 4 buttons on it. It still has 4 buttons on it, but it's not here. And I pulled them off. I believe I would have pulled this off. No, I wouldn't have, because it has hex keys and I didn't have hex keys at the time. And once I pulled those out, those are the major screws, I ended up asking myself, is that enough? So I tried to pry this off, and it was very, very hard. And to mention, with the car seat in place was even harder, because you had to pull this out while the seat was in place. That was very hard. So I ended up first getting my hands as close as I could behind this and grab as many parts as I could grab, like even the bottom here, and pull it as hard as I could to see what was going to happen and understand what was happening. So I did that. This is actually damaged as well. I never even knew that was damaged. That's weird. But anyway, I pulled it as hard as I could until the point where this gave way and it came out. And when I got this off, oh, thank God. So I looked at the mechanisms for the handles for the doors, and I followed them all the way. And while I was doing that, I was also pulling the handle to understand how it operated. The linkage pointed to one mechanism that wasn't actually moving, and when I watched it, whenever the rod was trying to push that way, what would happen is, when you pushed it, it'd go like this. This end here would be like up against the brick wall, and when you push it this way, it'd go like this. It'd flex, like so. So I realised this part of the mechanism was jammed, and so what I did was I got a screwdriver and a hammer, and I beat the shit out of it with the screwdriver. I put the screwdriver in the door, and I got the hammer, and I went bang, 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 bang. And after a while, it did pay off. The door swung open, I got out, and I didn't shut the door, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got out of that. And that's when I started to realise I could have had a really good skill set, unique, and I've sort of lost those skills so far, and I really regret not working on the car anymore after my last encounters. Like with my most recent experiences where I've made loads of mistakes, when I think about how I was in the past to now, I've lost those skills and those traits that I once upon a time had, and that's ruined me a bit, but I'm going to somehow regain them. I don't know how I'll do that, but I can't afford to do it through this car, so I'm going to have to think of how I'm going to do this without this car around, and by that I mean financially around to bother me, but it will still remain in my heart, in my soul, and it'll be something I look forward to in the future. So that's a story I have about being stuck in the car, and about what some of the components are like. Anything else has aged as it has, and will be repaired when I can. The video's been on for 8 minutes, so I'm happy. It will go for 20 minutes maximum, roughly. If it goes a little bit over that, well, I'll just wrap it up as quickly as I can. But anyway, the dash is going to cost, this piece of the dash is going to cost $800 $880 to upholster, remake, because as you can see, the dash has a bunch of cracks all over it and through it, and I don't like these cracks, and all this is from poking it very gently, and it's just cracking up. Like, that's all it's doing, is cracking up. Like, I'm showing you. If I put my finger on here, it cracked. Put my finger over here, cracked. And so that's what I need to do to this dash. I want to reupholster this, make it like brand new, but I also like to fix the plastics up on here, because some arms and stuff that are broken on here. As you can probably see, where is there a broken bit? Because I want to point out something that's actually broken. It looks like it's something that's broken over here. Well, I'm looking for actual evidence of any breaks quickly. So I can be like, yes, this is actually broken, it's got cracks, it's got something wrong with it, but this actually looks like it's in pretty good condition. It doesn't look really damaged at all, but it does look like someone's cut something out or broken something, or it's factory like that, I'm not sure. Other than that, this actually looks like it's in really decent condition, and it's worth redashing this, repadding this, and going with the flow on what that is. This is a vinyl, and it needs to be re-matted. Now, I also want to mention that I have another component here. I've got two radios, I don't know where I got the second one from. But this is a part of the firewall protection for keeping the heat on one side and preventing it going into the cabin. And as you can see, it's pretty destroyed. It needs a new mat. It's got this foamy stuff in between, and fire retardant I think it is, and a rubber mat. So that protects you from fire, and it also keeps the warm air and the heat inside the engine bay. And as you can see, that's your two heater hoses. So in theory, in practical, this is the way it sits on the inside of the car with the engine over here. So there's your two heater hoses, and it's always on the passenger side the two heater hoses are. And that's what this is like for the car. There's another one here. This goes up the top end of the car, and that's also cracked and damaged very badly. We also have this piece here. Now this is the window wiper regulator winder thingy, and as you can see, it's not very healthy. It's not very healthy, as you can see right here. And the way you can tell also is by looking in that space there, where it's too loose. It's not fitting in there nice and neatly. It's because that plastic thing's fallen out, that bush, or it's moved, or it's broken off, which it actually looks like it's actually broken off. And so this needs to be repaired. Otherwise, if it goes on the car, it'll do what it did before, and it doesn't want to work. So does this rubber piece here, this plastic. This also needs to be repaired because it's just too loose. That's not good, and if that gets repaired, this will work well again. But until then, we don't know what's going to happen when we fix this. It needs to be fixed well. There's where your winders go on here and on here, and once that's fixed, it'll be like new. This is the roof liner, and as you can see, it's buckled, it's bowed, it's damaged, it's got lots of holes in it. It's got this glad wrap here, and it had tape to wrap around it, and it's sort of gone a bit mouldy up the top, as you can see, black and brown. And it's going to be something that we get a piece of cardboard and we just remake this piece, which isn't going to be easy, but it's not going to be hard either. So we can remake that. It's attached by Velcro on the other side, and it has this foamy stuff. I don't know what that is, but it's not very good stuff to breathe in. It's very terrible to smell and look at. In here we have headlights, we have the fuel tanks, fuel holder, and if you look at this really clearly, it's all this yucky looking stuff there, the gunk, and that gunk there that you see is actually from rubbers that melted inside the tank, and it did a lot of damage to the fuel pump, which has now been repaired. Didn't need to be repaired, but it had to be in some way repaired because it was not working anymore. It was just clogged up with rubber. And yeah, I apologize you didn't see that, but this is all the stuff that's in the box. So here we have actually a brand new fan. It doesn't look like it was replaced too long ago, but it's actually new, but it's also old, and it hasn't been on the car very long at all. It's a very young fan. We also have the foot brake assembly, the pedal assembly. We also have some, I don't even know what this stuff's called, unfortunately, insulation. I'm not sure what this is. We have a spanner holder for cracking a spanner to get the engine and gearbox separated. We have a spare box for the filter. That's this is all filtering stuff. This is a spare horn assembly and indicator assembly, as well as wiper assembly. So it's got lots and lots of wires. And this is one of the weaknesses to these cars, are all these wires. It like has hundreds of wires, and it's lots of electronics and lots of vacuum lines. So it's not a normal car if you really think about it. It's like very irregular. In this box here we have interior trim pieces. Like this is one for the rear window, rear mirror, window. And here's one little feature I love about these little lights. I love these, and I love the roof one as well. That's normally up there in relation to the panel, and they are still actually in the car. So let's have a quick look at where they sit or reside in the car. And there's one of them right there floating. That's one of the lights that I like. And there's another one right there. And they just sit in the roof there. And I really love those lights because they're interesting to me, and they were fun to play with and have at night when you wanted to eat, you wanted to drink, you wanted to read a book or something. They're very luxurious. There's something unique about the cars that I really liked. Now in here is a lot of carpets and lots of stuff that I haven't seen for a long time. I mostly put this stuff in the box to protect it from rodents. And here is the dash carpet. It doesn't look like there's been rats in this box, so that's a good thing. As you've seen from some of the damages, there's a bit of rat shit around the place, and it's not nice. So this is basically covering most of the interior, exterior components, not everything. And that's a sun visor roof thing back there. There's the bumper back for the front of the car. There's a windscreen in the back. As you may have noticed, there's 2 radiators, but there's no 2 windscreens. And the reason the second windscreen isn't here, because that actually broke. That's shattered to pieces. That's gone. That doesn't exist here anymore. So even if I did put the door on and put the windscreens in, well, I've only got one windscreen missing, so I can't put that in and keep all my stuff protected inside the car. Anyway everyone, I want to thank you all for watching this video, part 2 of the ZL Fairlane. If you liked the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and please share this around with your friends if you want to support the channel and you want to support this project and learn a bit more about it and hear a bit more about it. It's going to be something like, I'm guessing, a 5-part series I'm going to make on this car, and this is part 2 of 5. I don't know if I'll go beyond that. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching once again, and that you'll go now because I got lots of stuff left to do today and then I have to pack it all in. That's why it's going to be a 5-part series.